if you have domain expertise, you can get into particular product management. The answer is no. You need to certainly prepare, talk to people, get into this kind of podcast, gain your basics, right? So it's all about the basics and fundamentals. And if you have prior experience, that's an advantage because you learn faster when you work. For example, if there is an engineering manager who is building applications, say in healthcare sector, right? So he or she can easily transition into a product management for a product like Practo or Orange Labs, etc. Right? Because they understand. If you go to the core of it, the reason why you would have liked this because of the director of the movie, right? Who has brought every skilled professional together and composed into one form of art called Ranjay Basanti and delivered to the audience, and people like you liked it, right? So everybody will come to the mind, but the director of the movie probably we'll have to think more to find the name of the person, right? So that is what product management all about. If you ask me.
So is there a similarity, the RNR for the product manager is still the same, be a product organization or be a service based organization, or it keeps on differing based on the industry and the domain as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, Vivek. I would say both are completely different, right? So when you are building a product in a product organization, I think it's a completely different set of objective you have in mind, right? So you understand typically the pain points of the customer and translate that into a requirement and work with your engineering teams and get it really deployed.
Ever wondered how to truly simplify the complex world of product management? Whether you are a seasoned PM or just starting out, or if you are someone planning to transition into product management, the right strategies can make all the difference. Today, we are diving deep with an expert who has not only built successful cybersecurity products, but has also demystified product management into actionable steps. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are tackling the art and science of product management. It's a field that's both challenging and rewarding, demanding a unique blend of strategic thinking, technical know-how, knowing your customers, and people skills. To guide us through this intricate landscape, we have a guest who brings a wealth of experience and passion for simplifying complex concepts. Joining us is Gurucharan Raghunathan, CEO and founder of Trend Security AI organization and ex-product manager of Microsoft and co-author of the book Product Management Simplified. Gurucharan is a seasoned cybersecurity product professional with a track record of building innovative detection and response platforms in companies like Microsoft and Radware. It's one of the most genuine conversations and insights that we had in our podcast. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, Guru. Welcome to the podcast by Agile Coaching Roundtable. It's a great pleasure having you on our show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you, Vivek, for having me.
Okay, so today we want to have a conversation with you. Obviously, since you are a co-author of this wonderful book, Product Management Simplified. So we wanted to have a conversation with you regarding this book. I mean, first of all, it's such a nice book to begin with. I would like to just maybe talk about it. You along with your co-author, have written it so simply. I mean, in such a simple language, without much jargons or maybe without vocabulary kind of a thing. It's such a simple book. Like reading that book, anyone would understand what author is talking about, right? So first of all, it's kind of I would say, a handbook kind of a thing, wherein if someone wants to get into a product management, even with kind of transitioning into some from other profile to this book tells everything. It's like a guide for anyone who wants to get into product management simplified. So congratulations on this book, and we want to have a conversation on this book today.
Thank you, Ramya. In fact, that was the idea. So today, product management, though it is very hot in the industry, a lot of people want to know what is product management and get into the career. But the roadblock was how to really become one, and what are the tools and techniques. And as people from different backgrounds typically get into product management, so we tried ensuring telling the playbook what they can adopt so that they can successfully transition into the product management. Thanks for the
Absolutely. And
feedback on the book also. Yeah.
yeah, and that is really getting conveyed in the book. Your intention is getting conveyed. So maybe to begin with, I know that now you are also a founder and CEO of your own organization, that is Trend Security AI. But we want to pull you back into this book and pick your brains. So to maybe begin with, so for the for those who are like new to this field, right, product management field, what are the core motivations and values that product management brings to an organization? Can you maybe explain that for our listeners?
Certainly. Maybe we'll start from here. Can you tell me, so what is your all-time favorite movie?
All time,
Whatever,
it's really
whatever comes to top of your mind.
okay. It's really difficult to maybe pick one such movie. What do I pick up? So
Whatever you
maybe
recently watched, you liked it.
yeah. So recently I was just watching Rang De Basanti. So that was my
Okay,
recent movie. So maybe that I would
nice.
say.
Yeah, good. So, can you tell me why did you like Dangde Basanti movie?
Okay. Maybe the storyline
Mm-hmm.
and also the actors
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, the way the environment is set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that movie, for the among the heroes and main characters, and the search for the actors, the characters who searches for the actors to cast them in her movie, right? About the freedom fighters and about Bhagat Singh and all those things. So the plot, the search, the storyline is what kind of made me stick to that movie.
Good to know that, Ramya. So broadly, what you are saying is you like the storyline and you liked the environment, which is the cinematography of the movie, and you
Correct.
like the concept, taking us back to the freedom fighting days and how they connect to the current younger generation. And I think overall, maybe music also you would have liked given A.R. Rahman has composed, right? So,
Absolutely.
broadly, I think these are the different traits that made somebody like you to like the movie, right? If you go to the core of it, the reason why you would have liked this because of the director of the movie, right? Who
Correct.
has brought every skilled professional together and composed into one form of art called Rangde Basanti and delivered to the audience, and people like you liked it, right? So everybody will come to the mind, but the director of the movie probably we'll have to think more to find the name of the person, right? So that is what product management all about. If you ask me to build, whether for the enterprise, for SMBs, or even for the end users, so we bring in the traits from the technology, design, and business. Probably is very common definition you would have heard across different resources. But what we do is we essentially bring things together and stitch the value for the customers or end users and ensure that is delivered. If not, we again go back to the whiteboard and ensure what is missing and bring it back and deliver to the customers. Ramya. That's what we do. I think it's very simple correlation for people who don't understand product management. We are like movie directors for the products what we build and deliver value to the customers.
So, obviously, as you narrated it or maybe put it into perspective, Guru, I'm sure it's easy, but the way you put it from a analogy point of view, how a director brings in different characters or binds everyone together to get a product out. This is what the role of a product a person is, right? Obviously, we would like to dive more deep into of what exactly the day-to-day things that a product manager does, or what's the skill set this person needs to have, and all those other aspects. So maybe starting with that, maybe I would like to just understand from the point of view is like uh, there are different organizations, right? I mean, there are specifically product organization, and then there are service organizations, and there can be a mix of this both, right? So how does different organization have a different view for a product manager role, and how do you see a role varying from a product organization and with the service organizations? So is there a similarity, the RNR for the product manager is still the same, be a product organization or be a service based organization, or it keeps on differing based on the industry and the domain as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, Vivek. I would say both are completely different, right? So when you are building a product in a product organization, I think it's a completely different set of objective you have in mind, right? So you understand typically the pain points of the customer and translate that into a requirement and work with your engineering teams and get it really deployed and enabled as a feature or a product and take it back to the customer and test the cycle and bring it back. So this is typically a product organization or product managers in product organizations do. But on the service side, it is completely different where the core objective is the delivery, right? So typically the scope of work, whether it's fixed or T&M, as both of you are from project management background, you know better. So the scope is already given to I would say a product owner or a scrum master typically is what is called in the industry, and they need to ensure they deliver it. And though they act as a customer internally to all the different functions, they still stick to the scope. They do not go outside the scope, right? For example, build this feature, it has to have some 10 capabilities, and to me as a customer, I'm giving a requirement to a product owner in a Scrum world. So that gentleman or gentlewoman should not go beyond that set of scope or 10 points given. So he or she will ensure that the engineering or the delivery team is meeting whatever is asked by the customer. But this is not what product managers do. In fact, product managers should question every line item part of the scope and ensure that this translates to the value, right? So that's the change of hat. I would say it's a different color of hat you have to wear if you're a product manager in a product company, and if you are driving product ownership or a scrum master, typically in agile context, safe agile, it's a different role altogether. It's apple and orange. Let's not compare each other, but both has different, of course, challenges and the focus areas.
Mhm.
All right. So maybe since you spoke about the product manager as a director, right, who brings people together. So in your experience, what's the most impactful way a product manager can facilitate the collaboration and drive alignment between, say, sales, engineering, marketing, and support teams, just like the director does for a movie, right, bringing all people from different departments together?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's a good question, Ramya. So I will give from my previous experience. I was driving product management in Microsoft for a large-scale security product. So one thing I have to ensure is product managers not always build features. Right? That is also a myth, right? So of course, that's the fundamental responsibility. I would always say product managers should solve the problems. Feature is just I would say, the channel to solve the problem. But end of the day, you have to solve the problem. So I got an interesting and complex problem in my previous stint. In fact, interestingly, it was from the support function. Just to give an abstract background of the product. So the product which I was working in Microsoft Security, I'm from security background. It was used, it had some 200 million MPUs, right? So we call monthly protected users, or you call monthly active users, however you call it. So 200 million users using the product on daily basis. It's a huge, large scale product, right? The support is for kind of Microsoft kind of organization. We used to get close to 3,000, 4,000 tickets per day, right? So, and they have a full swing support. I mean, experts who get that support ticket and they figure out what is the problem and then escalate to L2, L3, and then try to solve the problem for end user or customer. And this is a very complex process. And given the scale, given the kind of volume of tickets we get, we had a big problem. Customers are facing a lot of satisfaction issues. CSAT was very down the last 2 years, right? So my goal of the project is to bring the CSAT, say, I'm just giving a ratio, right? So 2.5 to 4.2. So that is very easy to see in a scale. But given the scale of the organization and the problems we are facing, it is not that easy to change the number, right? So then I tried diving deeper into it. I tried understanding how the support function works inside my org and who are the key stakeholders who are typically helping the current support field folks in translating the ticket into the actual solution. That itself took almost a month for me to understand who are there, who's doing what is the actual problem and all that. And then boil down from the context closer to problem. Then I tried understanding how are the tickets last 1 to 2 months, right? So what are the tickets coming, where it is getting stuck, where is the satisfaction going down, why customers are not getting solved. So then I tried myself getting closer to the context. So then I get into the data, right? So then data is everywhere, right? So the data, you know, how many tickets getting into which category of issues,
Correct.
and who is which team it is reaching, who is not fixing, who is fixing, who is not communicating back the right messaging to the end user and customer. And that data is what I get into, right? So from context, I get into data. Now I focus on insights. Where is the problem, right? So then I have to talk to again 10 set of different functions. I have to go to engineering, I have to go to security team, I have to go to design team, I have to go to engineering. Also, you have many sub functions. Some teams own some features, some of them own some platform, and with some of the partner teams will be there. So then I have to talk to everybody and understand based on the insight I got from the data, where is the problem, right? So this is a process. In the process, I talk to all of this who's really having a gap in essentially solving the customer support experience. So then, and I identified, I'm just cutting long story short, I identified the problem was the mapping of the issues coming from the customers to the actual, the team owners itself was wrong. It was going
Oh,
to say there is a team A handling some set of 5 features. The support case going to team B. Team B knows that, okay, this is a problem, but they don't know how to fix it. They don't again handhold and give it to team A because they have different problem to address every day basis, right? So they get stuck and nobody's owning it and it is not going back to the support engineer, and support engineer is not getting response, or he is trying to figure out what he knows or she knows and communicates back. So that mapping itself was missing. So then this is a problem I identified after doing research and talking to a lot of people from different functions. And then I trying to establish better clustering. We built some models to map the using the keywords from support tickets to the right team owners, and it goes to the right team. If they are not really resolving, they have to again inform the support engineer so that the engineer can go back to the right set of people. So all that enhancements as a product manager I have done. And of course, end of the day, it's a long cycle, and we brought the CSAT from close to 3 to almost 4, right? So 1 point to this scale itself to
wow.
1 year. But this is the real challenge, right? So working with a lot of people in trying to figure out what is the problem and ensuring that problem is getting solved for the end customers.
Wow. So, Guru, since you spoke about, how you managed this situation, but obviously it's not just maybe from the point is it's not just about only collaboration or maybe how you have communicated or how you have, facilitate or navigated through this entire situation, right? Maybe from a product manager point of view, right? What are the 3 essential skills that you believe that, if one wants to be a PM, this is the skills that one cannot compromise on, and obviously beyond the ones which are commonly discussed or commonly known about, but what you feel, I know that if one wants to be successful within the PM cycle as a role for a product manager, what are those essential skills that you feel are really required?
Yeah, so that's a great question again, Vivek. So I will also give one disclaimer. I come from B2B background. So most of my
Business.
experiences and maybe tips for the audience is primarily applicable to B2B, so that I'm very clear on what I'm saying. Okay, so going back to the question, so there are a lot of skill set, probably resources, like even in our book, Product Management Simplified, and many other books people highlight for the product managers. But from my experience, what I have learned is the top skill set that is required is mostly the research ability, right? So we need to do a lot of research for every stage of the product, whether the problem discovery and user persona research, and then competitive analysis, and then data analytics. So whatever you do, part of your role, uh, so research mindset is very important. With AI, in fact, it makes PM's lives very easier to do the research. And in fact, now it becomes even more complicated to ask right set of questions to the AI, right? So prompts is all about questions.
Hmm.
So if you boil down everything to define a product manager into one single statement, it's the person who asks the right set of questions, right? So
Wow.
we should ask sharp questions to get the right insight. So that insight from research attitude is very important. So in fact, in the AI era, it is crucial for the new product managers who are getting into the industry to know how to do smart research, right? So research, like you should need not spend 24 hours trying to find one problem, right? So how can you get the real insight by asking right questions, right data points, right sources, just getting the insights for us. So that's very important, number one. So number two, I would say customer obsession, right? So it's not the customer feedback, customer conversation, right? You should get obsessed with the customer and get into their shoes and live with them, right? So for example, I as I'm building an enterprise security products, so my user persona is called security analyst, right? So we are trying to solve problem for security analyst. So I spent day in, day out with them, trying to understand what they do, how they start their day, what tools they use, so where they are getting stuck, and what is the workflow, what is the classic user journey of an analyst when they try to make themselves efficient for their management or their organization. So that way, the obsession is very important to act like the end user of your product so that you can really get at the end of the day, it's all about getting closer to the problem, right? So the moment we get obsessed with the customer, then only we can go closer and understand their pain point. If you ask even Vivek, for example, what is your problem in using this Microsoft Teams as a platform for all podcasts, you will give an answer, but that may not be actual problem, right? If I go and sit with you whenever you record a podcast like this
Wow.
and understand and where is the problem, right? So when you switch the maybe audio system from one user to other user, or maybe some of the questions when you capture the notes, it may not be friendly for you to share after the podcast is recorded. It could be anything. So that can come only if I spend a day with Vivek to understand how Teams is helping Vivek to really capture a high quality podcast for the audiences. Right. That's number two. Number three, I think it's very I mean unique for me. I believe I want to tell this to everybody is relationship building. It's very important for product managers. I think as all of us know, we talk to everybody, right? So I think classic
Correct.
principle in product management, you don't have authority, but still you have to get things done from everybody, right? So that can happen only if you build good relationship with people, right? So you have to talk to senior engineering architects, leaders, talk to senior product guys. In fact, you have to talk to sales leader, talk to the market director of marketing. So these guys, everybody will think they are good at what they do, right? So you have to bring
Correct.
everyone to the same room where product is sitting in the center of the table and tell them this is what we should do for the betterment of the product. So they will listen to you, provided you have that good relationship. Of course, everybody is
True.
working for the company product. We have to get the value delivered, generate revenue, and grow. Everything is applicable, but it is not easy to tell them this is something we have to do so that our product will deliver better value for customers. Instead, you build a relationship and make them friendly, and then communicate in a subtle way. Okay, we have to do this, the director of marketing, because we have to ensure next roadmap we will accommodate these kind of messaging to the right audience, right? So it's all about massaging the ego to be very transparent. But how you do it is
True.
the art of product management, right? So it's very important.
Absolutely. I completely agree with your last statement. And this is exactly what Vivek and I were discussing last night. That it's about managing the relationships and massaging the ego at the end of the day. Otherwise, skills can be learned and taught, right? But these are the things that these are the life skills, I would say, and are true for any scenario. And just a curious thing I want to understand from you is that in the top three skills, you did not even mention a domain expertise, right? So, and this is a common, maybe a notion among people that you cannot become a product manager or a product owner unless you have a domain knowledge, because you also have to make sense, right? As you mentioned, if you are talking with a room full of people across the table, and if someone, if you want someone to listen to you, then you obviously have to make sense to them, right? So, without having, say, that domain expertise, is it possible for someone to become a product manager? Because people might be having experience of, say, multiple domains, right? Working in different organizations. So how much is the domain expertise play over here?
Okay. So, if I recall, the question was mostly on the skill, right? So let's assume all of us going for a birthday party today evening, right? Some common friend invited all of us to his or her birthday party. So what we will do is we will dress up for the party nicely. Of course, we have to show up ourselves in the party where we meet a lot of people, want to project ourselves good looking and in terms of aesthetics and present ourselves better, right? So I would say this domain expertise, subject matter expertise, is something like that. It's mostly the prerequisite, right? So it is not a skill. It's a one step before a skill. You need to have the prerequisite even before becoming a product manager in a domain. So because unless you have that expertise, you don't know even that's what I was saying, the first skill, right? So you have to ask the right set of questions. Unless you understand the domain, how you will know what question to ask? For example, I was talking about security analyst. I'm sure you both may not have much idea about what they do.
Correct.
But I, even to understand the day, morning to evening, from the day they start having coffee till they go to bed, I need to do some groundwork to sit along with them, right? Before I go and sit with Vivek, I would have seen 10 different people recording podcast to understand just how the podcast recording works. So that is prerequisite for sure. Required for product managers, any domain. It doesn't mean that only if you have domain expertise, you can get into particular product management. The answer is no. You need to certainly prepare, talk to people, get into this kind of podcast, gain your basics, right? So it's all about the basics and fundamentals. And if you have prior experience, that's an advantage because you learn faster when you work. For example, if there is an engineering manager who is building applications, say in healthcare sector, right? So he or she can easily transition into a product management for a product like Practo or Orange Labs, etc., right? Because they understand the industry. That advantage will certainly exist. That doesn't mean that only people from healthcare can get into product management. So both are there. End of the day, it's all about how we prepare ourselves to understand the domain before getting into the user's shoes and understand the particular user's problem.
Absolutely. I mean, that covers pretty much what I wanted to maybe understand. Over to you, Vivek.
Okay. Uh, so maybe since we are talking about certain skills or maybe essential things that a product manager needs to have, right? Maybe taking it a bit deeper into from the product manager role, right? Uh, what do you see any sort of difference in terms of how a product manager operates in more of a startup setup versus organizations which are already have great products and they have already a strong hold into the that aspect of the product. So do you see there is more what I would say in terms of freedom to expand or to stretch the aspect of the product from a startup organization compared to what it is already in a large organization which set up.
Yes, certainly. The product management in startups and in large organizations differ, I would say, significantly. The reason being, in large organization, you will already have customers and you will already have a stable product and you will already have some of the critical capabilities being used by the customers in terms of data analytics and a lot of comfort you will have as a product manager in large organization, and processes also established, so everybody knows what a product manager does, and things generally becomes easier when you bring in people for some decisions, and especially some of the problems probably you need to get some help from the specific subject matter experts. Even those things are pretty much matured in larger organization. And I think the flip side is, of course, I'll probably give the complete context on the large organization and then come to startup. So though the process is mature, though you have a mature product, you have process, I mean, you have customers using a stable product. If you want to drive innovation as a product manager, which is also is what keeps you high always, right? So unless you innovate, you don't get sound sleep in the bed in the night. So and that way, when you try to bring some innovation in your product or in your opportunity, it is challenging because generally organization do not want to disturb the status quo, right? So if you bring in something, it shouldn't disturb the existing, the workflows, some of the experiences for the customers. So it is not easy to sell a completely innovative idea, opportunity, feature in a stable product in a large organization. That challenge would exist. In fact, to bring a small innovation, will also have a very stringent process. For example, I'll go back to my previous experience at Microsoft. I worked in both startup and large organization, that I have luxury of sharing my experience. At Microsoft, if I want to introduce a feature, they have a very strict process. First, I will enable that to the internal customer. We call dog food environment. So Microsoft itself consumes its own products, given the scale of the organization. There are close to 1.5 lakh of employees working in Microsoft. First, we test with the 1.5 lakh employees using any product, any platform, right? Say, for example, I am doing a change in Dynamics 365, so CRM tool. I will ask my sales team to use sales and support, and the business team to use it first. The dog food we will enable. They will give the feedback and then quickly iterate and fix it. Not quickly, iterate and fix it at whenever it is possible. And then comes the next private preview we call, which is what we will have a handful of customers who are interested to try this new feature and then give feedback. So mostly 10 to 15 customers. Typically we enable, test it, get the feedback, send back to the backlog or roadmap. So and then slowly we will enable to the general availability. We call GA, general availability. That is when the entire world will get the feature. On an average, this entire cycle takes close to 9 to 12 months. So given the scale of products Microsoft has. So by the time it comes to you, somebody would have used 1 year back, any Microsoft product you use, right? So I think it is very important because we cannot hurry these kind of releases because like I earlier said, your existing capability should not get disturbed, right? Especially when you enable AI capabilities to the existing products. For example, Copilot you would have experienced in Windows and your Azure environment. So we had the luxury to use 1.5 years back, right? So we tested, gave feedback internally, and then it came to all of you where the general availability is publicly told, and everybody started using it. So it's a method of releasing features. So that way you will have that. I would not say luxury. You will have a lot of room to assess the risk and relook at your strategy and brainstorm more with your stakeholders and take the complete capability or feature to the market. So that is what happens in larger organization. Coming to the startup world, I worked for a startup before my Microsoft stint, and of course, currently also I'm running a startup. So there, everything is different. So when customers ask something, you don't have luxury to add to roadmap. Okay, let's discuss, prioritize, and figure out what is important, what is urgent and important matrix. You place this feature and all that, right? You don't have all that luxury in a startup. If this account is going to get churn, if this feature is not there, your sales guy will eat your head. You have to get this done, right? So because you are not affordable to lose a customer. So then the challenge is different here. So what we will do is, of course, this feature is critical. Of course, we will do all the prioritization, risk assessment, and weightage. All has to be given. Of course, you can't blindly build all features, right? But here you have to be very swift and super fast. And if, for example, if they're asking for API integration, right, for a particular tech stack, you should first understand. The sales guy will say, this guy customer wants this integration, get me in a week's time, right? So this one feature ask coming to me. So what we should do is to try to understand how many customers asking for this tech stack. Say 10 customers are asking. Out of 10, who belongs to our actual segment, right? So, and who has asked this problem? Tomorrow, if we go with the integration also, they may not even do POC. They do POC or they don't find the value, right? So all the assessment you have to do. So out of 10, how many are really having this our problem scenario, right? So out of 10 will be 5. Out of 5, how many are already using our competitors or how many will use our product? So all that analysis you have to do. It will end up being 1 or 2. Then 2, we will then sit with the business sales guys, ask what is the ARR you will get if this customer is converted, right? They will give some number. So then, okay, it looks like this is a deal making feature. Let me go back to my engineering, right? So that is when I will even bring the architect or engineering guy to sit with me and discuss. This is important. Let's do this cycle. This cycle is typically a sprint or a monthly cycle whenever we plan in a smaller organization. So then they will ask 100 questions. Engineering guy will ask you 100 questions. Everybody, they don't understand product management fully, they want to act as product managers, right? So they will ask 100 questions. And you need to answer the 100 questions and then tell them why are you really looking for this particular integration option. And then they will say, okay, finally they will bless you with saying yes. And then they'll add to their sprint backlog. And that's where people like you come in and then you work with the engineering teams and get it moving. And then that's how we take the option to customer. And again, we test it. If whether this customer is really integrating, then comes the integration, how you make the experience seamless, you provide better documentation, all that, right? So this feature journey is very short in startups, and you will see the feedback quickly. If any problem after delivering the feature, customer will immediately give you feedback, right? So that way you can quickly go back, fix, and again iterate and deliver the subsequent week itself. But all this is in large organization, it's a different roadmap item for the future, right? So here it's different. You act fast, you do ad hoc iterations, and then see your feature going live in the next 2 weeks, right? So all that feel good factors also is advantage in startup, and customer will throw you direct feedback saying this is not working, it's a crap, I can't use this feature, right? That is also is very common in startups. A bigger organization, probably you have done already a lot of stable features. If some feature doesn't work, they will give diplomatic feedback, right? So all these it's a different experience. So product managers, end of the day, though they do the same role, they need to adopt their mindset to work for a startup and to work for a large organization. And I think it's all about the personal preference also. So where you want to play your game, right? So if you are comfortable playing in a larger organization, seasoned people and mature process, you can prefer to join such organization and learn product management at scale, right? Yes. But in startups, it's a hands-on product management. I would always suggest whoever is switching to product management, start with startups, work for at least 3-4 years, gain that hands-on experience, then understand how seasoned product management works in bigger companies.
Wow. Maybe just extending to this conversation again, I know this is not part of the conversation that we wanted to have, but just a curious case, and maybe if you want to answer it, maybe in a short way, right, Guru, is like you spoke about the decision making around what's the ARR for me in investing, right? So is that how decision making goes around in whatever feature development we do or whatever that we want to build around? Is it just that what's the investment and what's the return that I'm going to get, and that's how the decisions go around in the product entire cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. I think ROI is very important. Whatever we pick for development, because engineering efforts are super expensive, right? So in that way, with AI, in fact, the compute is becoming, though it is coming down, it's still another layer of cost is added to your engineering overall budget you have. So ROI is certainly important. So ROI broadly, I think we should have in 3 dimensions. One is what I said, the revenue, how much you can generate, especially startups, because we are very sensitive for what we do, right? So in larger organization, you will have some bandwidth of the team reserved for this kind of ad hoc things. But in startups, you may not have that luxury. So you should be very careful about the revenue aspect. It's one dimension. Second is, of course, the customer delight or customer love, we call it, right? So it's not about delivering a feature. So we should see the excitement in the users' eyes when they really use it, right? There are, I think, a lot of metrics we collect where they can send the thumbs up, thumbs down, or give feedback, testimonials, a lot of ways and means you can collect the feedback. But that delight and love is very important. That second, I would say, as a dimension. And third is where essentially, I think it's very nuanced. Who are you are, right? So product manager also has another philosophy I recommend is become a thought leader, right? So you should always think forward. So you don't just build the feature just because customer is asking. So if you build some 5 features in a cycle, maybe 3 could be the customer problem. One can come from a sales guy for a deal, and there should be one feature which gives the aspiration of a thought leader. For example, uh, with I'll again go back to my example, right? So when the GPT was launched in October 2022, so first version, of course, and then it was growing super fast and developing rapidly. I wanted to quickly experiment that in the feature which I owned in this product which I was working in Microsoft Defender, we call it, and then see how much I can educate my users fast. I mean, very fast to see how they can use this kind of a Copilot, if you're familiar with Copilot kind of a
Yes,
experience to address their problem, right? It was very, I mean, it was a time when the GPT was just announced and people were excited with buzz of AI and all that. But we should not wait for the buzz to settle. As a product manager, I need to think 1 year from now how this innovation will become a norm, right? And try to test small. So introduce some small capability in existing feature and see if this can drive that innovation ahead for the next 1-2 years for the product, right? So that is what I say, third dimension, where you reserve the thought leadership in terms of the capabilities, especially to understand where your innovation should go in the next 2 to 3 years.
wow. It's sounding so interesting. I mean, while you were explaining things, right, I was already into the thought process. Wow, this sounds so interesting. And I was already imagining myself, or maybe it's like I was just a fly on that wall while you were doing things and all. It's really, I could imagine that world and talking to customers, doing that research and getting the feedback, user interviews and all those things sound really interesting. And I'm sure that people would want to maybe transition into product management after listening to your first-hand experience, right, from this podcast. So maybe for such people, right, you talked also about mindset, right? So for an example, if someone say from development background or say someone from DevOps want to maybe transition into product management, what sort of mindset that they should be cultivating to become a product manager?
Yeah, so that's a practical question for the aspirants to become product manager. In fact, we have captured in our book in a detailed way for every background what are the strengths they have. So what are the not weakness, area of improvements, of course, they can fill that gap and then prepare themselves for the interviews, crack the interview, or get into the job. Just to give a high level view on the transition journey. So if somebody is from development or DevOps background, the strength is they understand how the products are built, the technology side of the world. They may not have much exposure to customers, business, or sometimes even the user journey or flows, right? So mostly they they may not have much exposure, I would say, exposure is the right word, to the
Correct.
business and the customer aspects, which is something they have to spend time, right? So don't get satisfied or pack your bags and go back home after your code is checked in, right? And wait that the checked in code becomes a feature and the feature is used by the user and user is closing his or her workflow and give the feedback back to you. So your work starts after the code is checked in to become a product manager if you are a development guy, right?
Wow.
So that is where they need to spend time. So typically, developers don't. They say, "Okay, I'm done." So they, of course, I think that's the core competency. But if you have the aspiration to become product manager, you have to wait after your uh, feature is shipped, how it is being used, what is the problem, how are they using it, and where you can improve. And that improvement when your PM, internal PM says, and then you also brainstorm with the PM, and then see how much you can shadow uh, the responsibility, slowly learn from the PM, and then get into product management role. I think the hack I'll give you is, if the people are working in an organization, spend time with the existing PMs, and then, like I said, learn the complementary gaps, and shadow them, and then become a PM, right? So internally in the same organization, and gain some 1 or 2 years of experience, then apply for maybe opportunities outside, and you can switch. That is the easy hack. Instead of blindly coming from a DevOps experience, I want to become product manager, to outside organization. Generally, it's difficult for organization even to evaluate and hire. So though you prepare exceptionally well for the interviews, it's difficult. The flip side is, if you are from sales or marketing or any business background, they don't understand how the products or features or capabilities are built, right? If you don't understand this, you cannot get into the neutral product mindset when you become a PM. So they should now, when they give a feature request to a developer, sit with the developer and see what the developer does, which applications he or she uses, how are they shipping the feature, what are the challenges they face. So they need to study that, right? So don't focus only on selling, enabling sales, support, success, and all that. It is good, it is important for your current role. But to become a PM, you should also switch your side, spend time with the people who are building the tech, right? So that is important, and the same hack. Then you try to shadow your PM, and then become a PM internally, and then switch outside.
Wow. So, Guru, since you spoke about, what are the things that one needs to have, maybe if we are switching from one role to another, maybe into the product space, do you also want to, talk about maybe certain advices while if someone is preparing for a PM role, in today's job market, how do you see that, one can get into, obviously, as we spoke about, maybe if it's a developer or maybe someone from a more process guy or maybe a sales guy, what are the things that he or she needs to upskill into? But if someone starts applying or gets into that aspect of, I want to look for a job, what are the three important things that you believe that should have, irrespective of the background that he or she is coming from?
Yeah, so today everything has become an efficiency game, right? So whether it's a PM or a project manager or even developers, any role you apply, so everybody's looking for efficiency. Given we are all are already into the AI world, right? So now all the old school methods we should give up. Of course, interviews will still remain the same for the next couple of years for them. They will typically ask to give a feature which you have built. How do you, why do you think this feature is important? And the guesstimation question, what is the market size for this particular product, and all that you have to do all that. So all that, the question templates will remain the same, and they will also ask you to solve a problem and all that. So I think generally interview templates may not change, at least for the next 5-10 years, unless there's another disruption comes. But how we answer has to now change drastically, right? Because when you think of a solution before, maybe 2 years before or a year back, we would never consider AI capabilities, right? Say if you want to build I think this is a classic interview question, right? So how will you build a ride sharing app for visually challenged people, right? So it's commonly they ask all.
Correct.
So before AI, you think all innovation, right? So you can have some the guardrails, you can give the triggers for them to understand how the vehicle is, how to book the vehicle in the app and all that. So with AI, it's completely different. So in fact, this funny thing, I think probably you also know, Bill Gates was having an interview with Sam Altman, and Sam Altman asked, right, so how do you see AI 25 years from now? So Bill Gates said, 25 years from now, everybody will have the luxury of living like Bill Gates, right? So even a
Wow.
common man can live like a Bill Gates. Typically, a billionaire, what their luxury they have is they have assistant for everything, right? So assistant for what to have breakfast, what is the schedule, how to plan the travel, and what is whom they want to meet, to just somebody to make a call, set up a meeting, wherever they want to go. So that assistance is a common man's capability. Already it is, maybe who are having access to technology. It will become even more integrated to our part of life in 25 years from now. So everybody assume, no, from the morning you get up from the bed, you have somebody to give command. The person can integrate the command to a robot, and the robot can get you coffee, prepare breakfast, and you can ask, you need not even think about what breakfast. You can just say, today, what is the outside weather and what is your mindset? And then what kind of food you want to have. You can ask the robot. Robot will suggest this and bring it to you. And the entire day will be assistant driven, right? So now when you're coming back to the interview question, you need to think how with assistance, AI assistant, which is a very good capability for a visually challenged person, to design a ride sharing app, right? So that is what I'm saying. So we should leverage the new innovations in the technology and use it in our use case studies, this kind of interview questions, and tell them that you are already ahead of the wave, right? So don't think 3 years back how somebody will build a mobile app for a visually challenged ride sharing scenario, right? So that's one thing I can suggest. The second is, I think, be honest with your intent to become a PM. Many people, right? So and this is the reality I'm sharing. Is many people they feel product managers are a very glamorous role we want to get into, and they even become one also. Then they realize maybe this is not the way everybody told in podcast like this, and I'm not really enjoying, right? So that way, first figure out why they want to really become a product manager, apart from all the resources or whatever people say, because it's very different and difficult when you get into the shoes of product manager. So whatever we say sounds interesting on the other side of the table, but sitting here and doing the research or talking to customer, converting that into feedback and working with the stakeholders, getting things done is a real challenge, right? So of course you will learn, that's what we enjoy, but whether you enjoy or not, you have to figure out in the interview conversation itself. You can be honest and transparent. That's what we look when I hire for a PM. That is a topmost thing I look for, right? So they may be very good in the market size estimation, and they would have prepared answers for the most favorite feature, what you ever used, all that. I think even in our book we have given the top interview questions. Right? Anybody can prepare, but when you get into the intent, they will be caught, right? So that's what I think. Be honest. That is very important thing. Generally, interviewers look for when they're looking for more than smart. I would say genuine PMs, right? So who want to really uh, do this thing as a career milestone. So that's what we're looking for. I think third is, I think, communication, which is very important because you need to know how to communicate and what to communicate to different set of people. Because if you talk about revenue, numbers, jargons to a developer, right, he will hardly understand anything, right? And vice versa, right? So you know what to tell to people, what not to tell also. In fact, what not to tell is even more important. So those things also typically we judge in the interviews and conversations. So yeah, so these are the things which you may not find in other interview uh, best practices. That's what I'll share from my experience.
Wow, I almost felt like getting into a Shark Tank kind of a discussion, right? Where the sharks tell that intention is more important. We bet on the founder and their intention why they're selling the product, right? So it is almost like a Shark Tank kind of an interview, and I can obviously understand that this is all your first-hand experience and not something that is, as you mentioned, written somewhere like a best practice kind of a thing. So maybe the last question for today's conversation. Uh, Now that you have started your own organization, right, that trends security AI. So, can you walk us through what is your organization all about and how has your experience as PM helped you in your journey?
Certainly, Ramya. So yeah, so now I'm a co-founder for a company called Trend Security. I started this journey along with two more founders. So as I'm coming from B2B cybersecurity background, and I'm trying to solve a problem in the same space by building an AI product. Yes, I think the journey is certainly very helpful. Being a PM and to become a co-founder and CEO. I think generally they say, right? So PM is the internal CEO of the product, right? So in that way, product managers becoming founders already have some, I would say, the advantage in understanding, like I earlier said, the business side of the story, and then the tech side of the world, and of course to some extent on the design or the experience side of the world. So that foundation is very helpful for me. Being a PM, I could talk to my business co-founder, I could talk to my technical co-founder, understand better. So how are they really uh, getting the context to the table when we take critical and strategic decisions? Though I'm a fresher as a founder, I'm just hardly 4 months old, to be very honest. I'm also learning and getting started, but suddenly super excited for this journey. So now I think so far I have been delivering delight or value, or aspiring to deliver delight or value to the customers as a product manager. So now, given the organization, as I'm representing an organization, solving a bigger problem and leveraging artificial intelligence advancements. So now the responsibility is super critical, and I'm learning every day, every single day. The product management foundation is really helpful. But I think the distance from a product manager to founder is very far. I just started with my baby steps, right? So that way, looking forward to the journey. It's exciting days ahead, and hoping for fruitful delivery of value to the customers. So in that way, as I think you also know, the AI is changing rapidly every single day.
Correct.
You see new releases, new capabilities, and new opportunities, right? So that way, so we are building a product, leveraging all of that, and trying to solve an existing problem. Connecting the innovation to the real world problem is what something I was telling before. Now driving firsthand, right? It's a different experience. So yes, I think that way I would always suggest who is having the entrepreneurship aspiration. It's also good to play a PM role before becoming one, and that way you have that edge when you compete with people from different backgrounds becoming entrepreneurs in the same market, right? So your competitors.
Wow. We also hope the best for you. Thank you so much for coming over and doing this podcast with you for us. And honestly, we love your genuinity, your openness, and it was like no kind of a maybe frill or kind of a conversation, like no nonsense conversation, pure wisdom, knowledge, and pure out of your first-hand experience. So thank you so much for coming over and doing this podcast with us today.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you, Vivek. Thanks for great
Thank,
questions. I also enjoyed talking to both of you.
thank you so much, Guru.
Thank you so much for watching this episode patiently till the end. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll meet you again in the next episode. Till then, if you like our podcast show, then do like, share, subscribe, and let us know your feedback in the comment section. You can also listen to the episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. Thank you.